the new Animal Collective album is Time Skiffs,
Yes.
and um I've been listening to it, and it's great, and I love it. So thank you for making it.
Glad you appreciate
I had read that it was described as the collected transmissions of four people who have grown into relationships and parenthood and adult worry. Um, can you confirm that?
Those weren't our words. Interpretation, perhaps. But I mean, obviously there is some truth to that. That is the direction that we're going. I don't think I would associate it personally so much with adult worry, but I mean, of course, yeah, there is that to varying degrees in our lives, I guess. So, and certainly when we were recording this record and making a lot of it, there was certainly a lot of worrying going on, in the world, because of the world. I don't know if that was just adult worry, but there's some kind of worrying going on, some kind of worrying.
So then what would you say is kind of like the direction that you're going in, if you were talking about that?
I mean, a lot of the record for me is sort of dwelling on the notion of time, hence the title, I guess. And that plays into many facets of my life. You know what I mean? I think just due to my lifestyle, our lifestyle, Animal Collective's lifestyle over the past 20 years, being traveling musicians, being professional musicians or whatever, what have you, being what we spend our time doing, I think, and having spent so much time doing that, I think it's all of that plays into the different aspects of time that I dwell on personally, and I think traveling around a lot allows me to think about that quite a bit. And I find myself, on long drives. I do a lot of solo long trips. And so, yeah, it's just, I think that's there. But I think the worrying side of it, where I think we were all, I think I can speak for most people in the world, in saying that we were all kind of thrown off time-wise, thrown off of our traditional time, our
Right.
linear, by this pandemic, by quarantine, by all the stuff that's suddenly exploding in the last couple of years. And so I think that's been worrisome for me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not that not worrisome in that it's unnatural or it's a negative thing. Even it's just sort of something to come to terms with, and it's something that I think is important to look at right now. What is time, and how are we spending time? And for this project, how does music interplay with time? Really,
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. You said that you had gone on a lot of long solo trips. What do you get out of those trips? Because I do that too and love it.
Well, it's mostly in the US, for better or for worse. I mean, I wish I could, do it everywhere, but I, obviously don't have the money or time or the ability to do that. But someday maybe, or I will travel around other places. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times it's for having to play solo shows or something like that. I'll enjoy, I'm not particularly fond of flying, and I never really have been. I used to be kind of deathly afraid of flying, but I kind of got that, having to do that so much for Animal Collective. So I'm fine with it now, but I prefer traveling around in car, driving. And I appreciate the kind of more compact form of traveling that is less people,
Yeah.
You're kind of just sort of, you're on your own schedule, most of the time driving. And I like that. And I like looking at time and space together. And it's just driving. And I thought a lot about it and wrote a lot about it. I feel like on my last solo record too, Cows and Hourglass Pond, I feel like was also, or more even, inspired by driving around. I just like thinking about the notion of space changing in regards to time, and that's really evident, and obvious when you're driving, and all you really have to look at is the landscape changing around you. And 1 hour you might be in flatlands, farmlands, and the next hour you're in the United States, at least, you could be in the Black Mountains or something like that. You know what I mean? The landscape changes so much. So yeah, it just sets my mind, working, drifting, thinking a lot about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So in the album there is the first single was Prester John. And who is Prestor John?
Prestor John, to my knowledge, like traditionally and mythically, I guess you would say, or in legend, ties in a lot to like Arthurian legends.
Okay.
It's maybe even been hypothesized that some people, he crossing ties with King Arthur, and he was supposed to be this very benevolent king that lived in an unknown land somewhere, possibly Africa. And I think that idea, in some sense, for my part of Prestor John, I think lyrically, it's not like the song is by Noah and I together. It's kind of taking two songs and putting it together. I kind of just liked the idea of that notion of a benevolent or good king that was charitable, like that notion is breaking down, basically, that that's not happening right now in this day and age, and where is that, and thinking about that kind of thing.
Wow, I love that. I totally did not know that, and just
I think obviously, or maybe not obviously, but if you followed us for a while, that you probably know that we tend to keep things a little vague,
Yeah.
And especially for my own lyrics, I don't really like to hand the meaning out on a silver platter. I mean, I feel like there's all these tactics nowadays, it seems like, for bands to get press, or get people to stream their music by putting explanations of like all the songs up on Spotify and that kind of thing. And I'm really not into that at all. I think that there's so much of music to me that's interpretation, and the gift of music is a person, it's a gift to that person. It opens something up in the listener. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? And it opens knowledge given, or, it's about finding your own way into the music and your own attachment to it. So I feel like it's often not really that important to, to hand out exactly what I'm trying to say, I think.
Sure.
Because you can't really control what other people are going to feel or think about the song anyway. You know what
right.
I mean? So,
but also, I like knowing a lot of that because it like deepens the context that I have for the song, and so I see both sides, and I enjoy both of them. For Animal Collective, what is the like division of work right now between you four, and what do you find yourself advocating for the most as a creator in Animal Collective?
I mean, it's not really much different than it's always been. I feel like we're just kind of writing songs, and I feel like the pandemic and quarantining has made us or has forced us to all utilize our own individual studios, recording efforts, recording skills more than we ever have in the past. A lot of what we're making right now is stuff in our own studios that we're sort of combining together, and less of worrying so much about getting together and playing somewhere, or not worrying about it. It's just sort of like that's just so much more complicated these days, than doing it ourselves, which, you know, isn't the greatest situation. I mean, it was really hard for me in 2020, honestly. And, you know, there was a dark side of recording this record. To me, it was really difficult in the isolating sense. I didn't particularly enjoy the process after a while, you know what I mean? Because I feel like it was so drawn out. But in the positive light on it, you know, it gets me just to work more on recording skills and doing stuff that I like already. I guess for me, just personally, I had previously already recorded a solo record in my own studio, and I don't know, I was just like ready to get out and get together and to get into a studio and play with the guys, you know. And then, you know, so I feel like that goes away from the question a little bit, but
no, but I get
but yeah,
that.
you know, we're all actively like in a supportive role of each other too these days, more so than ever. I feel like, you know, emotions are high, and people, you know, each of us has gone through our dips in our confidence or our you know, good vibes, if you will. So yeah, I feel like we're all acting as, you know, definitive supporters of each other, like right now. But yeah, otherwise it's mostly just the same songwriting, recording some stuff, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a song called Walker that I understand is about Scott Walker, who I am a huge fan of. And what is the influence of Scott Walker on this record?
That being Noah's song, I think sure. Noah, but Noah's a huge Scott Walker fan. I mean, we all love Scott Walker. I feel like we've been, you know, fans of him since Noah and I worked at Other Music, and just getting really into his records. I've got the Scott Walker box set, you know, on LP and the records all the time. Scott 4 is a great, I'd say, autumn record to drive around in, and yeah. This winter particularly, I was playing it a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I think just musically, it's you know, and I think it's even something other than the fact that, like, you know, Noah has sampled him at a certain point, and you know, his sonics have bled into certain things that we do. I think it'd be hard to tell that, you know, we're really fully influenced by him, but I think just as kind of like an individualist, you know, and a very unique music maker alone, he's such an inspiration, and more than anything, that's because we, I don't know, strive to find find new stuff for ourselves and really be ourselves. Scott, to me, is a person that was kind of always doing what he wanted to do and pushing boundaries, but also being himself. And I feel like in that sense, you know, it's totally in line with how we want to be as artists.
Absolutely. I love the arc of Scott Walker's career of like starting in like boy band, kind of like beautiful harmonic, and then ending up like punching slabs of meat and making bish bosh. But so I want to end on, I would love to come out of this with a song to play from somebody else. And I would love to know, like, what is the last song that you couldn't stop listening to, that you like really dug in on? And it could be anything.
That is a tough question. And it has happened recently. It's just when you know, when you're put on the spot for this kind of stuff, it becomes tough.
You can look at your phone or something if you've.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking at my phone right now.
Okay.
So, give me a minute, all right?
Yeah. So like sometimes I will ask this question. I'm like, I have like a song every single day, but then I am like, sometimes when I ask the question, I'm like, I know it is a lot. But I would love to know.
All right. Yeah, actually, lately, in the past couple weeks, I have been listening a lot to Talk It by ESG.
I have no idea what that is or who that is. Please tell me more.
Oh, you don't know who ESG is?
No.
ESG is a group of ladies from the Bronx, I believe, in New York, who are still playing, I believe. I saw them maybe 4 years ago or 3 years ago now. But I think they came around in sort of like the late 70s, early 80s. And I don't know, I've just seen them mentioned as like one of the greatest New York bands around at that time. It's really minimalist, kind of like groove, disco groove.
Cool.
Music and kind of like in the same vein of like, you know, I guess it's lumped in with like post-punk stuff from that era. But and you know, I've liked them for a long time, but I, for some reason, just recently, the song has this really it has this really kind of dark guitar line, and it's really minimal, and I've just been, I don't know, feeling a lot of like really minimal music these days, and especially song forms like that can just be carried in a very minimalist arrangement and be effective still. And it's a good jam. It's a good groove.
Wow. Okay. I will play that today, and I will cut this interview up and play it on the radio. And I can't wait to do that. Davey, that is our time. And I just wanted to thank you again for being such a force on my life and being like really influential on a lot of moments.
Thank you. It keeps us going to hear that kind of stuff, you know.
I told my old roommate that I would tell you that we used to, when we lived together and we would do chores, we would play chores and we would play the entire Strawberry Jam record. And I told that I would tell you that it is the greatest dishwashing record of all time. We listen to it like every single time. There's like a week, like once a week, every week for like 3 years. So
I can appreciate some good dishwashing music for sure.
Hell yeah.
Important, you know. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And thanks for the album and the music. And thanks for putting aside some time for me.
No problem. Have a good day.